I want to talk to you about something that most people are not talking about honestly. Not the clinical definition, not the checklist of symptoms, the actual lived experience. The place where everything feels muted, where you go through the motions but you're really not there. Where the things used to matter don't seem to reach anymore. Where you wake up and feel heavy before the day has even started. And the most painful part? For a lot of people watching this, nothing's technically wrong. You have a life that looks fine from the outside. You're not in crisis. You're not falling apart. You're just absent from your own life. Flat, empty, and you probably tried to logic your way through all of it, right? You counted your blessings. You pushed your way through. You told yourself you have no right to feel this way given everything you have. And it didn't move. I want to offer you a different framework today. Not a cure, not a fix, a different way of understanding what your nervous system might actually be trying to communicate. Because depression is not a random noise. It's a signal. And signals have a source. And the source is where the work begins. I'm Jerry S. Lynn with 5-Second Reflex. If therapy, willpower, and self-help haven't worked, this channel exists for you. We go to the root of why change never sticks and give you the tools to make it permanent so you can finally live the life that you want. See, here's the thing nobody tells you about this low place. Your nervous system does not malfunction randomly. It responds always to something. Sometimes that something is biochemical and requires clinical support. And if that's where you are, please go get that support. This video is not a replacement for professional care, but often underneath that clinical picture, there's also a signal, a communication from a system that's been running too hard for too long, that has been absorbing, not built to absorb, that's been performing a version of okay while something underneath was never processed, never felt, never released. Your body stores what your mind refuses to hold. That's not a metaphor. That's biology. When an animal experiences freeze response, it stores that survival energy in their body. Then it discharges it physically completely. Humans almost never do. We store the charge, we suppress the feeling, and then we keep functioning. And over time, that undischarged energy becomes a reservoir. And when the reservoir gets full enough, the system does not explode. It just shuts down. The flatness, the numbness, the absence where feeling used to be. This isn't weakness. This is a nervous system that has been white knuckling for so long it finally stopped. And the first thing I want you to hear, the system shutdown is not permanent. It's just a signal, and the signal can be decoded. I need to be honest with you about something. For most of my career, I was one of the most functional people in any room I walked into. I built systems for a living, complex, high-stakes infrastructure that kept hospitals and cities running. And the standard was never pretty good. The standard was, this system cannot fail. And I brought that standard home with me. Not consciously, but my body did. Every problem that came through that door, every demand on my capacity, every moment when someone needed something, I absorbed it without question, processed it, managed it, kept that system running, and the dashboard showed all green. From the outside, everything was functioning. Companies being built, problems being solved, people being supported. And from the inside, the system was quietly degrading. Not in a dramatic way, in the slow, invisible way that precedes complete failure. See, the numbness arrived before I had words for it. The going through the motions, the building things I no longer felt anything about. The sitting in room full of success and feeling completely absent from it. I was performing presence while being entirely elsewhere. I told myself, this is just what high performance feels like. It's lonely at the top, right? That's what we hear. This is the cost of doing important work. This is normal. Look at Elon Musk. This is not normal. It was not normal. It was my nervous system telling me something that I wasn't listening to. And then one day in Taiwan, standing on the street outside the convention center, my vision went dark. My brain hemorrhaged. And the doctor's words were not, you need to rest. They were, you've been living a life incompatible with staying alive. The dashboard had shown all green for years and the system had been failing for just as long. What your depression is telling you may not be that dramatic, but the message is in the same category. Something is not being processed. Something is not being felt. Something has been suppressed for long enough that the system has started to go quiet. And quiet is not peace. Quiet is depletion. There's a map I use in my work. 8 levels of emotional state, and they go in order. There's love, purpose, desire, courage. The states where life feels like something's worth being in. And at the bottom, apathy. That's flatness. Nothing matters, can't feel much. Moving through water feeling. Here's what I want you to understand about apathy. It's not that absence of feeling, it's the result of feelings that were never allowed to move through you. Underneath apathy is grief. Underneath grief is fear. Underneath fear is anger. And the low place is not where the process ends. It's where the process got stuck. Your nervous system did not shut down because it had nothing to feel. It shut down because what it had to feel was too much, too often, with nowhere to go. And every layer of suppression, every time you pushed through instead of processing, every time you told yourself to be stronger and feel less, push the stack one layer deep until the weight of it became apathy. The flatness is not the problem. The flatness is pointing to the problem. The direction is not up through willpower. The direction is in through grief, through the fear, through the anger that probably has nowhere to live. Not to wallow, not to collapse into it, but to finally let the body do what it's built to do. Feel it, discharge it, release it. So the energy underneath has to go somewhere, and the system can come back online. Stay with me to the end. I have something for you that can help identify exactly which of your core patterns is contributing to what you're feeling right now. Not a diagnosis, a map. And sometimes a map is what makes the difference between being lost and knowing where you are. 10 minutes, free, specific for you, my gift to you. Stay right here. 3 things are coming. 3 things, not fixes, starting points. Thing 1, stop fighting the flatness and start getting curious about it. The instinct is to push through it, motivate harder, force the feeling back. And that instinct, while completely understandable, is often what deepens the shutdown because you're adding more suppression on top of suppression. What actually begins to make things move is curiosity. Where do I feel it in my body? Not, why am I like this? Where is it physically right now? Is it in my chest, in my throat, in my stomach, in my shoulders? Just locate it. Don't try to change it. Just let yourself notice where it is. That act of turning toward instead of away is the beginning of the discharge. Thinking fuels, feelings heal. Thing 2, find the layer underneath. Apathy is rarely the primary emotion. It's the lid on the top of something else. So when you sit there in the flatness without trying to fix it, sometimes something moves underneath. Maybe it's the grief for something lost, something that never happened, a version of a life that you got set aside somewhere along the way. Maybe it's anger, quiet, and suppression, nowhere to go. Maybe it's fear about what life would actually look like if you actually let yourself feel it. Whatever's underneath, that's the layer that needs to move. Not to be solved, not to be justified, just to be felt. Because feeling heals what thinking cannot touch. Number 3, seek support that goes to the root. Coping helps you survive. Healing helps you change. Medication, when needed, is not weakness, but neither is therapy. Neither is asking for help from someone who knows how to sit with you in the layer that needs to move. What does work long term is treating the shutdown with urgency and effort. The system that is quiet does not need more pressure. It needs to be heard. I was in a low place for longer than I'd like to admit to anyone, including to myself, because high performers are very good at building a narrative that explains the numbness as a feature instead of a signal, right? I called it focus, I called it discipline, I called it the cost of doing more important work. The signal was there the whole time. My body was saying the same thing over and over again in the only language it had. Slow down. Something here needs to be felt. Something here has not been processed. And I was too busy keeping the system running than to listen to it. Until the system made listening my only option left. The low place wasn't the end of me. It was the beginning of the most important work I've ever done. Not the work I did for the companies, the work I did inside. And if you're in that place right now, I want you to know something that I needed somebody to tell me. It's not permanent. It's just a signal. And signals can be heard. And when they're heard, something starts to move. Gives you possibility. And I want to say something very carefully and clearly. If you're in crisis, please reach out to a professional. A therapist, a doctor, a crisis line. That's not weakness. This is the most important thing you can do. This video is not a replacement for that. What I want to offer is this. If you've been in this low place and you cannot quite name why, if the flatness has been with you for a while and the standard advice has not moved it, consider the possibility that your nervous system's not broken. It's just exhausted. It has been processing what has not been built to process alone. It's been storing what it's never got to discharge. And underneath the quiet, there's still feeling, still life, still a version of you that has not gone anywhere. It's just waiting, not for more pushing, for permission to feel what it's been waiting to move. You cannot think your way out of this one. You can only feel your way through it. One layer at a time, one moment turning toward it, one breath in the body that you stop fighting long enough to listen to. This is where the work begins, and that work is not weakness. It's the bravest thing you'll ever do. And here's your gift. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link below. It takes you to a free 10-minute assessment that shows you where your 4 core patterns are active right now. It's not a diagnosis, it's a map. And sometimes knowing where you are is the first real step toward knowing where to go. 10 minutes, free, specific to you. Take it when you're ready. And if this video said something you needed to hear today, like it and subscribe, because when you subscribe, the algorithm puts this in front of someone else who's been white knuckling through the quiet and needing to know it. It's just a signal, not a sentence. Let's get it to them. If you're tired of change that never lasts, you're in the right place. We teach you how to uncover those hidden patterns quietly running your life, retrain them at the root, and finally make the change that actually sticks. Subscribe. I'm Jerry S. Lynn, 5 Second Reflex. I'll see you in the next one.